Good morning and welcome to VIP Tires and Service in Skowhegan. I'm Gary MacCausland, Vice President of Operations and Merchandise. And today we're going to we're going to meet Brandon Raven, our manager in this location, who's also a master technician. And he's going to talk and educate us a little bit about air conditioning, which this time of year is pretty important. So let's come on in. Good morning, Mike.
Good morning.
This is Mike Williams, the manager here. How long have you been with us, Mike?
6 years now.
6 years. Great job. Mike runs a great operation here. Good morning, Brandon.
Good morning, Gary.
Here's our star this morning. This is Brandon Raven. Brandon's been with us. How long have you been with us, Brandon?
I've been at VIP for 5 years now.
Okay. Brandon's held a multitude of positions within the company. As I said, he's currently one of the managers here, but he's also a master certified ASE technician, which frankly, we love having guys out on the counter. So when you come in with a problem, you got questions in your car, not that our service staff isn't knowledgeable, but you can talk directly to a master technician, and he can definitely talk the talk and let you know what's going on with your car very well. So, Brandon, tell us a little bit about yourself. How'd you get into this business?
Well, I started actually just going to college. Going into college, I didn't even know how to change the oil in my own car. And that's where my career started.
Just thought it'd be fun to work on cars?
Well, I always like taking things apart and putting them back together, and why not a better place to work on vehicles?
That's awesome. Personally, I'm better at taking things apart than putting them back together, so it's a good thing that I'm not in the shop all the time. Go on in. I guess we've got a car we're going to walk through the...
Yep, we got a Mustang down Bay 5. We're going to go take a look at.
It's convertible. You used to only use the air conditioning half the time nowadays. So we got a lot going on in the shop. Well, we've got a potential movie star in the corner here. So typically, when does someone walk through the door and say, "I think I need my air conditioning checked"?
Usually when it doesn't work.
Yeah, that's usually one of the hottest days of the year, right?
Usually it's at least 110 that day.
Yeah, and it's blowing. Typically, what we see is the first indicator is the most common one is it's just blowing warm air. The air isn't coming out and cooling. There are other issues. It could be electrical issues if it's not blowing or the fan isn't working, and Brandon can talk through some of that. But the biggest indicator is I turned it on and the air coming out isn't cooling me off. So we offer a free air conditioning check here, and Brandon's going to kind of walk through some of the things we do and look at. And there's a couple. Typically, there's one or two big pieces that we have to sort of track down to figure out why your air conditioner isn't working, and we'll do that at no charge and figure it out. Brandon, why don't you kind of walk us through what you do when someone first comes in and says, my air conditioner isn't working?
So the first thing we do, we go right out to your vehicle, right out in the parking lot with our quick check tool. We locate the low side pressure port of the AC system. We put our quick check on there first to see if there's any freon in the system, see if there's any pressure still in the system. If there's still pressure in the system, we start up the vehicle, we put a thermometer right in the dash, see what the air coming out, the temperature of the air coming out is. If that's all good, we look down at your AC compressor, which is usually located somewhere on the front of the engine, to see if your compressor is turning on or off. If all three check out, then we move on from there. If one of the three isn't where it's supposed to be, then that's when we start our diagnostic process on the vehicle.
Yeah, most people seem to think that they need their system to be recharged. You hear that a lot. There's aftermarket recharge kits and so on. The reality is, very rarely does an air conditioner need to be recharged. If it's got a low freon condition, what happened?
It leaked out.
It leaked out somewhere. We use the analogy sometimes of your refrigerator runs on freon, cools on freon. You don't have to recharge your refrigerator. So if your car isn't charging or isn't blowing cool air, the biggest thing is to check if the freon, if the freon's low. And if the freon's low, it didn't just get used up. It disappeared somewhere. So then we have to start the process of finding out where that leak is to fix that leak and then charge system. We got a couple of great ways to do that. Brandon, why don't you walk us through sort of the methodology of that?
Yeah, some of the things we check when you come in with a low freon you know, we check one to see if there's any leaks anywhere. The Freon that we use actually comes with dye inside of it. So when we charge your system, if there ever is a leak, we use a UV light similar to this, and we shine it around your engine compartment, and that the UV light will pick up any dye that has leaked out, whether it be a fitting, whether it be, you know, on a hose itself or your compressor itself. It's a very good indication of where the leak is.
Well, and the reason we need to do that, I mean, one thing, if you have an oil leak, it's easy to see the oil where it's come out and it's leaking on the engine. Freon being a gas, if you have a Freon leak, you don't necessarily see remnants of Freon on your engine or somewhere else, and it could be a very small leak that's causing it to come out. So using the dye and the ultraviolet light is a great way to locate or find out where that leak is coming from. We have another tool that helps us identify leaks as well.
Oh yeah, we have a sniffer tool. I actually don't have one here right now. But what a sniffer tool does is just basically like a big electronic nose. You run around your engine, and that sniffer will detect that gas, the R134, where it's coming out, and it'll alert us to where that leak is.
Yeah, so even if you've got a location where there's a hose connection where you don't have great visibility to see if the dye leaked out, or you can't get the ultraviolet light in there, if you sniffer's got a little tube off it, if you stick the sniffer down there, it lets you know if there's Freon down there pretty quick. So. Yeah. And that's one of the first steps we do is find out if there's enough Freon in the system, and if there isn't enough Freon, why not? Where did it go? We need to address that before we put more Freon in the system. If the vehicle does have enough Freon in the system, then what do you look at?
Oh, there's a bunch of other things we take a look at. One, a lot of vehicles have a separate serpentine belt that runs the AC. Sometimes that belt's broken, the belt's worn out, slipping, and your compressor's not working the way it should. Two, there's an electrical side.
Yeah, I mean,
of
the compressor, when it engages, it puts a pretty heavy workload on that belt. And if your belt is slipping or whatnot, that compressor won't engage the way it's supposed to.
Yep. It's all run by electronics and sensors. So if you have a faulty sensor, say a pressure sensor that's reading, you know, say 1,000 psi, it's actually going to make it so your AC system doesn't work to protect the system. But there's a whole electronic side of your AC as well.
Yeah, the compressor's a big component. There's orifice tubes, dryers, and it's something as simple as a fuse. If that's like, so one thing we check is the air blowing? If the air's blowing and it's warm, then we know at least the blower motor's working properly and the electrical side of that's working, and we have to fix why the air's cold. Sometimes it's just the motor isn't working or the climate control isn't.
Correct. Yep.
Just like in your house, the thermostat's not working, it's not telling the air conditioner to come on.
Yep. Some vehicles have an indication light on the dash when the AC is on. A lot of times if your AC is not working, that indication light will either blink or won't come on at all.
What other things do you look at when the AC isn't working?
Check the pulleys, the belts, fuses, relays, hoses. You know, hoses can chafe through, they can cause leaks. Same with wires, what have you. We check, you know, airflow coming out of the dash, because poor airflow can make it seem like your AC is not working properly, even though it is. Make sure that's not plugged, stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, ideally, we have a thermometer we can put in there, so it's not just put your hand. I mean, a lot of times you can put your hand there and you know pretty quickly, but we do put a thermometer in the vent, and we look for somewhere in the 40 to 50 degree range. If that air is blowing out in the 40 to 50 degree range, it's going to cool you off pretty quickly, and that's what you're looking for in the car. You know, and the free AC check is great, because some folks have heard horror stories that AC repairs are very expensive, and they figure, well, I'll just tough it out, I'll rough it out, or whatnot. Come in and find out. It may be simple. It may be a fuse. It may be something electrical. It may be just a small leak somewhere that we're able to repair quickly, or it may be a major component of the system. We can't tell until we take a look at it. But like we said, even before you spend money on an aftermarket recharge kit, I mean, I can't tell you how many folks we've seen do that. And it turns out they do have a leak in the system, and they spend the time and energy and the money to recharge the air conditioning system, and 2 days later they're in the same condition. So we can save that money for you and offer a free check and figure out what's going on with your system. And like always, our job is to give you all the information you need to make the decision that's right for you, if you want to invest the money or the repair makes sense for you, or if you're willing to drive with your windows down, whatever works for you. But we want to give you all the facts so you can make the right decision. And in this case, maybe you just put the roof down.
Yeah,
so,
it's always nice to have that.
All right. Did I miss anything? Or did you miss anything? So this is the machine. Why don't you
Yep.
talk about how the machine works?
This is the AC machine. This is what we use here. A couple things with it that you're looking at. We have the high side pressure and the low side pressure. Right now it's a static pressure because the vehicle is not running. If the vehicle were running, you'd see these pressures raise and drop while the compressor is kicking on and off. A couple things down here is this is the oil charge and the oil drain. There actually is oil inside the AC system. Just like your engine, they help lubricate everything, keep everything running smoothly. When we recharge it here, we actually suck oil out and put fresh oil in as well. On the side here, you have our R134 tank, and like I said, ours it comes with UV dye right inside of it. So when we recharge it, if there ever is a problem in the future, we definitely helps out.
Yeah, if somebody's had their system worked on here and they come back and they're having a different issue, another issue, it's very quick. Look at the UV light and we can tell where it is already instead of starting from the beginning. So it's a great machine.
And a couple other things that are often overlooked with AC systems, like I mentioned before, the cabin air filter. Most newer vehicles have cabin air filters inside the vehicle. It's usually never checked unless somebody, one, either has a problem with it or two, asks it to be checked. But once you check it, check to make sure there's no moisture on it or there's no debris clogging it to cause poor airflow. And then needs to be changed out according to your OE maintenance schedule.
Yeah. Seems to be a favorite place for small rodents and pests to make homes is in the cabin air filter. So we've seen some of those, I'm sure. Great. Any questions out there, Colleen?
Are there any lights that could help them know if they have an AC problem in their vehicle?
The only light that I can think of is, like I mentioned, the indication light on your dash. Not every vehicle have that. But there's, to my knowledge, there's no light saying service AC.
One thing, if it is your serpentine belt that's malfunctioning, that could trigger a check engine light as well. So, but for the most part, the best test is how that air feels coming out. And again, even if you think it's marginal, why not bring it in? We'll stick a thermometer in there for you, and we'll tell you how cold it is. And like we said, we'll do a free check and let you know what's going on with your system. We love educating our customers.
And do you have any suggestions for making sure that their AC systems stay well?
I would say, just use it. A lot of people have ACs, they never use it. Just make sure, it is still cold coming out of the vents. If you ever have any concerns with it, make sure you get it taken care of before a small concern becomes a big repair.
Yeah, I've always thought it was a great idea. Turn it on once or twice during the winter. Because up here in Maine, you may go 6 months without needing AC in your car, and you're letting the compressor sitting, it's never engaging. So just, don't freeze yourself up. But if you get a day that's a little bit warmer than normal and the temperature's warm in the car, then, just dial down the temperature for a few minutes, just enough to get that compressor to kick on. Just let it run for a couple minutes, just helps things. All right, well, if there's no other questions, we're going to let Brandon get back to work or let him go take this Mustang convertible for a test drive. So thanks, everybody. Have a great day.